good people. I hope your day is going well wherever you are in the world. If your child can read every word on the page but can't tell you what they just read, stop asking them to read it again. I'm going to show you the strategy that I use to help my students over the years actually see, remember, and understand what's happening in a text. I call it picture the passage or picture to the passage, right? And so let's dive right in. I am going to walk you guys through this as if you were in my classroom. And so we're going to turn this text into images and then use those images to go back into the text and answer the questions. Okay? This passage is one that I quickly pulled together, right? And so hold on, I want you to be able to see it. I'm going to put it up here. Let me go to my main screen where it's living so I can see it a little and make it a little larger. All right. Seneca Village, a community in New York City. First, I'm going to read the passage because why? We need to read it to understand what's the title, what's happening, what's going on, and so that when you are sitting with your child or your students, that you too are sitting beside them as they read it. You want to model everything that I'm doing in this video so that you can apply this with a passage or a short text that they are reading. Can you do this with larger text? Absolutely, but it does take longer. And my key advice here would be to do it based on the chapters and finding the highlights, right? And taking notes and being able to annotate either if it's a worksheet, you annotate on the side. If not, have the notebook positioned next to the child so that they can go ahead and write key things down, or if it's a book or worksheet that you can highlight that as well, right? So I want to get all of that out of the way. What do you need to do this? You need the passage, a highlighter or a pen or a pencil, a notebook, and a piece of paper that's blank where you can draw these images out. Or if you are in the R4S homeschool studio, I will have this sheet that I'm going to show you guys inside the actual studio and you could just download it. All right. So, Seneca Village, a community in New York City. Seneca Village was once a small community in New York City. It stood on the land that is now a part of Central Park. The village began in 1825 when free black New Yorkers started buying land there. At that time, many black families wanted a safe place to live, build homes, and grow as a community. Soon, more families moved to Seneca Village. Most of the early landowners were black, and later some Irish immigrants also lived there. By the 1850s, about 225 people lived in the village. There were homes, gardens, 3 churches, and a school. Families worked hard and helped one another. Owning land was very important. It gave families a place to live and build a better future. For some black men, owning enough property also helped them qualify to vote. That made Seneca Village an important place in New York history. In 1853, New York leaders chose the area for a large public park. The city took the land to build Central Park. In 1857, the people of Seneca Village were forced to leave their homes. Their houses, schools, and churches were gone, but the story of the village was not forgotten forever. Today, people study Seneca Village to learn about the families who lived there. The village reminds us that New York City's history includes hardworking communities that helped shape the city. When we learn about Seneca Village, we remember the people who built homes, cared for neighbors, and created a strong community. All right, so now I have just read through the passage. You read it with me. At this time, I would ask the child to go back and reread and underline what stood out to them. What were the key details that they heard me say as I read it out loud, or the ones that are captured in their mind as they're reading out loud, right? And you give them a good 2 to 4 minutes, depending on how long the passage is, to just go through and underline. Let them go through and underline the parts that stood out to them. Get a chance to reread it, kind of understand what's happening, right? Then, after they have done that, this is where we can either go to the questions and see what they say, or we go to the picture to passage sheet. Why am I saying either or? Because you know your child's best way better than I do, right? Unless I was working with them, of course. But for some students, it's best to kind of get an idea of what the questions are, what they're looking for, so they can try to recall it in that moment. And if they can do it, great. If that's a struggle, then let's go straight to the picture to passage page, right? And here, everything we underlined, we are going to draw an image for. Let me include this extra step. Before I had them draw the images, we also validated what was key details, and I don't want to gloss over that. And so, if I'm having a conversation with my group of students or my one to one child, then I'm saying, okay, you read it, you underlined it. I want to know what stood out to you, what was important, what are the key details um, that from this passage. They then share with me exactly what they highlighted or underlined. And now we have a discussion. Oh, I underlined that too because I thought that was important. Oh, I didn't underline that because I didn't see why that would be a major thing. And so when we look at key details, what are the major components that stand out? We may agree, we may disagree, right? And that is fine. The point is to, one, have the open dialogue. Two, make sure that the child was even paying attention to the text and grabbed something. Three, validate their feelings and their interpretations of it, because okay, that's what you got from it. Our perspectives don't have to be the same, but there should be some things we have in alignment. The things that we have in alignment, we both know are given a green check, right? The green light. Then I have them, because I feel like you shouldn't need, on a passage like this is what would qualify for maybe like a state test practice passage, right? I don't feel like you need more than 9 boxes. I don't limit the children, but I just start with there as my base number as an focal point for them. And so if if this is my model, now what happens in paragraph 1? We see Seneca Village was a small community in New York City. It stood on land that is now a part of Central Park. The village began in 1825. Well, to me, anything that has a date is something to make sure we note. Anything that is a specific location is something to note. So for me, I'm going to underline that this is a village, a small community, New York City. And I'm going to underline Central Park because that's the connection for what it is in the present day versus what it was in the past. And then I'm going to definitely underline 1825 because that is the year this village begins. This is a very important part for all students to be able to find out and figure out. Then when you're on these key details, we're looking for the facts within the story. Dates, locations, places, names, all of those things are concrete facts, right? And so those are the things that should make it into our notes. How you draw and design your picture, that's a whole different story because it's going to be images that stand out to you. That's personal, right? That's personal. And how you envision it is personal. However, your images should bring you back to the facts. I'll say that again. The images should bring you back to the facts. And so, At that time, many black families wanted a safe place to live, build homes, and grow as a community. I'm going to realize that, hell, this, look at the year of 1825. We want to underline free black New Yorkers because these are the people who actually resided in the area. And so that is worth noting, worth capturing, and making sure I have an image of that, right? Next, soon more families moved to Seneca Village. Most of the early landowners were black, and later some Irish immigrants also lived there. By the 1850s, about 225 people lived in the village. There were homes, gardens, three churches, and a school. Families worked hard and helped one another. Again, now, we know most of them are landowners. I'm going to capture that. I may even capture that there's Irish immigrants who move into the area. By the 1850s, I'm going to definitely lock in that. Why? Because it's a specific time period. And then the fact that it names 225 people lived in the village, that's an important detail. I'm going to underline that. There were homes, gardens, three churches, and a school. The fact that it's very specific about these three churches, the homes, and the school, I'm going to underline those things. For me, I'm done in that paragraph. Next, owning land was very important. It gave families a place to live and build a better future. For some black men, owning enough property also helped them qualify to vote. Ding, ding, ding. To qualify to vote, to me, is something that's worth capturing. That's an important part. These people were not allowed to vote or able to vote if they could not show that they actually owned land. This is a important part, and we know that this is important because in paragraph 1, we're saying black freed New Yorkers were buying land. It's mentioned again, so it has a significance, and this is why we must capture it, right? Then I'm going to underline that, and I'm going to move on to the next paragraph. In 1853, New York leaders chose the area for a large public park. The city took the land to build Central Park. I am going to underline 1853, New York leaders, and I'm going to underline Public Park and Central Park because why? This is when we see this community is obligated to shift and change. In 1857, the people of Seneca Village were forced to leave their homes. I'm going to underline that. That is major. You have people who have built a community, bought this land, and now are being told they must leave, right? So their houses, schools, and churches were gone, but the story of the village was never forgotten forever. I'm done with this paragraph. I have captured what I needed. Today, people study Seneca Village to learn about the families who lived there. The village reminds us that New York City history includes hardworking communities that helped shape the city. When we learn about Seneca Village, we remember the people who built homes, cared for neighbors, and created a strong community. In this paragraph, I am probably going to underline New York City's history, hardworking communities. I'm going to underline we remember the people who built homes, cared for neighbors, and created a strong community. Will I need it in my questions? I don't know, but it's important to capture what these people were like and their full essence in this story, right? Or in this passage. Next, here's the fun part. So now I have all of my details underlined or highlighted. I know exactly what stands out to me. For each paragraph or each few of the sentences or underlined details, because I don't want to mix this up. People, it really depends on how long the passage or story is. Okay? In this essence, I am going to look at what I shared with you and underlined and make images for it. Now, because I'm magical, right? I already put in my images. If I'm doing this with children in person, I am drawing my images out. If I'm teaching this class online, and this is for my educators who may tune into this, if I'm teaching online, then I'm either drawing the images out and showing them my doc that I have and sharing it, or I'm doing this, which is where I uploaded the document into Canva and I selected images to go ahead and capture what I've read. Is there a preferred or right way? No. I'm just telling you what I would do. If I'm in person, I'm drawing it. If I'm teaching online, for reality and quickness of a lesson, I'm already coming with these already plopped in like I have here. And so here is the park. I know that it's New York, and I put in Statue of Liberty to remind me that it's not just New York, it's New York City, right? Then my second picture is I have a group of black people. It's 1825, and they are buying land. That is what I'm capturing. That is what I'm drawing or putting together as the images in my mind. Then I have it's 1850. We have 225 people live there. Can you use words with your images? Absolutely. Absolutely. This helps tie it in. Then we moved on to, hey, there's homes, churches, and schools. They were very specific about three churches. I did not put my three churches, but I know that it's three churches. I remembered that. And that here's his homes, and here's their one school, and this is now a community. Then I have that the families owned this land. They bought it, they owned it, they set up gardens and stuff. Now this is, I will say this little picture here is a little more background knowledge that I have, right?
I'm
But
sorry, but you've reached your daily GPT Live 1 limit for
oh,
today. You can continue with GPT Live 1 Mini.
oh, you guys, sorry about that. That is Sage. She was listening into the conversation so she could capture my notes from this video. All right, we'll keep going. Sorry, Sage. So, from my prior knowledge, here we are with the families. They own the land, they're gardening, so forth, right? They have built this community. Then in this picture here, it was specific in the text that black men needed to own land in order to vote. So here I have a black man, I have the land, here's the voting box. Those are my connecting pictures to make sure that I understand who who needed to own this land and what owning lands meant for them, right? Then I have families must go. Now I forgot to put the year, but it's 1857, and I would have added that here as a small note. And so I have these families here. They must go. Here is my image of the government with a mallet from the judge and some documents so that I know it's a government order that these people must leave. Okay? And so now I have my images. I understand what took place in the text. I can now go back and now look at these questions with confidence and answer them. Because this page here is my proof. And it also allows me, by being in order this way, it's easier for me to go find it because why? My method is either a picture per paragraph or a picture per key detail. All I got to do is now find the pictures and know where to go exactly back into the passage to understand the answer and what took place, or to use it, cite it as my text evidence. So, which sentence best tells what Seneca Village was? A factory in New York City, a community where families lived and worked, a ship that traveled to Manhattan, a school in Central Park. Obviously, the answer here is B, a community where families lived and worked. Then question 2, why was owning land important to some black men in Seneca Village? Ding, 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 ding. I can look back and literally remember my picture here of, hey, here's the guy and his child. Here's the land he bought. By him owning this land, he gets to vote. And so now it helps them qualify to vote. It's right there. It's number one, or rather, letter A, the first choice. So I know that my answer is concrete. Name two places or things that were in Seneca Village. Well, again, an important fact here, sorry about that. An important fact here is we know we have homes, churches, and schools, right? We drew that out already. Then, what happened to Seneca Village when Central Park was built? Use details from the passage in your answer. Well, I can look right at my picture and remember, well, the government ordered that families must go, right? They took the lands back from the people. And if I need to find the paragraph here, I can go right here. In 1853, New York leaders chose the area for a large public park. The city took the land to build Central Park. In 1857, the people of Seneca Village were forced to leave their homes. Okay? And so this gives me the proof and text evidence to sit there and recite for that specific question as my answer. So that is how I do it. That is what I do with my students when I see that comprehension can be a struggle. I also do it with students who are just going through text as well because I love for them to capture details. And a part of them capturing details like this helps with writing. Okay? It does. It helps with writing. Let me see. I stopped my share, so I hope that okay, I can see you guys again. Um, you want them to have clear, detailed sentences when writing. Reading and writing goes together. I always tell the children, hey, they're cousins. They hang out often. You literally cannot do one without the other. They support one another. They're like best friends slash cousins, right? Those cousins that grow up really, really close. And so maybe I could do something around writing on another time. But I wanted to share that with you guys in this video because I had told you on the last episode of Literacy and Latte that I would share my method and to show it to you. And it was going to take its own time to go through. So I hope this was super helpful. Tell me something that you got away from, got with this video. You can leave that in the comments. If you're interested in any of the documents that was in this video, join our school community. The link is in the description. Also, I have the homeschool roadmap webinar that is coming up for September 2nd, 3rd, and the 6th. In that webinar, I'm so sorry, I'm all tongue tied. In that roadmap webinar, we are going to structure your first 90 days of homeschooling. We're going to make sure that you are building something that is true to the child you have in your home, a system that fits your family dynamic, not Pinterest, not Facebook, not some group or anything like that. We are literally building around your child the same way I have literally built around mine. Okay? And I'm very interested in this because I really want to help families gauge on what they need to do or what they can do as options for their children and before you spend another dollar on curriculum, to be honest. Before you buy another curriculum or membership to anything, even my own, I'm telling you, learn this framework that I'm going to teach. Come and build your 90 days because that's exactly what I'm doing. This is a hands on workshop. This is not like, oh, you're just going to be listening to me talk and all of that stuff. No, this is hands on. This is you going through the process with me, taking copious notes, and then applying it to your real life situation. And when we are done off that live, you will have a plan. That's it. That's my promise. That's my give. And so I hope that you guys are all enjoying your weekends. I hope that this tutorial was super helpful. Please share it with a friend or family member who may have a young one that's struggling with reading comprehension. Again, if you want the sheets, you can join the community, they'll be posted there. And I look forward to connecting with you guys. See you later. Bye.